What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Free Spirit Tarot. I am Poetry. We are moving along through my journey through the tarot decks. We have 78 cards in which I'm going to talk about the different cards and how they appear to me in different decks. I've chose 5 decks that I normally like to work with in order to go through this series. We're on card number 5, which in technicality is card number 6 since the Fool is 0. So we got like 72 more to go. If you are an intuitive reader, this may help you understand how I come about determining some of the meanings of the cards. I rarely use the guidebooks, but I have found that sometimes the words and meanings that I have coincide with the guidebooks and what the author intends for the meaning of these images to be. If you just want to understand how I'm providing a reading to you, you can kind of gather where I'm getting the information from. I'm not going to be too in depth because I want to try to keep these videos short as possible. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, so that way I can know that you are coming back for more. And it helps out the algorithm and sends new family members into our free spirit community. So let's get started here. I'll have the description of the decks or the names of the decks written in the description section, but we will start off with the Spellcasters Tarot, the Gregory Scott Tarot, the Everyday Witch Tarot, Wizards Tarot, and the Good Fortune Tarot. These are the decks that I chose to use for this series. You may see me switch them out every once in a while, but for the most part, it'll be these particular decks. Now, I've explained in many videos before that I am not a fan of the Hierophant card. They really, like I said, I like cards that have a lot of movement in them. And usually when there's a person that's just sitting still looking at the camera, is what I say, then I don't really get anything from them. But I think in this particular case, that's not why I don't like this card. I'm not a person that is completely into religion like I used to be, like I grew up, like I was taught. And this card gives me religion full stop. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why I have such an issue with it. But the crazy thing about it is that I know that a lot of people who call themselves religious or Christian specifically hate tarot cards. They say tarot cards are of the demon or of the devil and things like that, without realizing that these tarot decks and the original tarot decks that were created were deeply rooted into a religious ideology, specifically Catholicism. I added an extra S on that. It's not specifically Wicca or anything like that. There's popes and hierophants, and those things they're so closely related. There's biblical symbols all throughout these cards that appear in the Bible. So, yeah. So I'm not sure where the deep dislike by other religious sectors came from. I'm not going to even discuss it or go into it. I just know that that's what I have experienced. So when I usually pull out my tarot cards and people in my family or my friend groups that hate that I read tarot, that's the first thing they say. Yes, of the devil. That's a whatever. Although the devil is depicted in some of these images, but some of the people are walking around in everyday life being the devil themselves, okay, in the flesh. So anyway, let me move on. So, but yeah, that's the main thing. So when I look at these cards individually and think about a Hierophant and what the Hierophant does, for me, it's a person who indoctrinates. And again, by me not being deeply connected to a religious order any longer, and I mean just going to church specifically, I still have a belief in a God. It may not be the same one everybody else believes in, and I have my own reasons for that. However, I forgot what the heck I was going to say. Yeah, I see indoctrination, especially because of the way that people, as a Black person, we have been taught that the King James version of the Bible was like forced onto the enslaved persons, even though there was a version of the Bible that existed way before slavery happened. The first Bible was supposed to go all the way back into Ethiopia. there is a lot of sections of the King James version that were removed to help keep Black people oppressed, to help keep women oppressed, because a lot of the parts of the Bible too that showed women in power, or women leading in the spiritual faith or spiritual realm were removed from the book. Even the teachings about um, spirituality, necromancy, uh, things of that nature were removed from the actual text. So, but that's what that reminds me of, is that I feel like I'm being indoctrinated when I see this card, and I think that's why I don't like it as much. When I see, especially this one here, I don't know what it is, but this reminds me of suppressed sexuality, in the sense that there's a lot of stories that we've heard about the different um, sexual abuse that happened within the Catholic Church, and by this image here being a child, a boy child of a boy child Hierophant, that's what it gives me the mindset of the choir boys, or that may have been abused with inside the church. So I think of suppressed sexuality here. I think of abuse. When I see this card, I think of homosexuality in this card, pedophilia, and you see these grown men at the feet of this child. That's automatically what I see when I see this card. Now, I also see um, a bit of conformity, that you have to fall in line. Also, when I look at this particular Hierophant card, this one here, it's basically, to me, someone that's in the religious sector that is, um, what I'm saying, do as I say, not as I do type situation. They're covering their face, they're masked, so you are unaware of who they are. So you're unaware of what type of demons or things that they have done in their own personal life, and they're just trying to push this book, push this word onto you as the truth. Whether they're following it or not, that's none of your business, is what they're saying. When I see this card, I see looks like a female person with her intuition. She has the moon, crescent moon behind her back, and I see that she is hiding the fact that she is very intuitive in his presence. So she not necessarily coming with a pure heart. She's coming to listen, but she has her doubts. That's what I see here. And then they have her green. So she's like green with envy. So her intuition is competing with the religious factor of the religious theologies that are being thrown at her. In this particular one, he looks like a devil, because he has the forked tail, or the pointy tail, not a forked tail. He's in red. He's representing passion. He's also representing lust. He can also represent anger. Um, but he's like almost in total submission. So no matter what you say, no matter what you do, he's going to be there at the feet, touching the hem, trying to touch the hem of his garment. Like I say again, you see her hiding her hands behind her back with the crescent moon, just telling me that she's still holding on to her spirituality, her intuition, and she's trying to use intuition when she comes to the foot of this authority, religious authority figure. But what I also noticed in this particular card, he has a whip. And like I just talked about the fact that how they used Christianity in the King James version of the Bible to indoctrinate enslaved people. And one of the ways that they did so was by beating them with the whip. Why else would another religious person be needing to have a whip in their hands? What are they going to be doing with that whip? Because they're not actually tending to sheep, even though that they're supposed to be shepherds. Okay. And I also see the pyramid here with I in between. This is on the back of the dollar bill. I can't remember from the movie. Was it Angels and Demons, or it might be in the movie Symbols? Did they ever do the movie Symbols? It might just be the Angels and Demons, but they talked about National Treasure, where they talked about the eye on the back of the dollar bill with the pyramid. I think has something to do with the all-seeing God. Um, I want to see the B&B is Boaz and Bathsheba. I don't know what the B&B stands for specifically in religious text. I'll have to look that up. I'll probably put it in the comment section. But yeah, and I don't know, because of this religious factor that we're in now, the red for me is just screaming MAGA. and how that they are trying to use religion to control the people. I see that as well. So if I was doing like a religious reading, not a religious reading, a reading on the news and the current state of politics, and I got this card, I would see control. I would see judgment. I would see somebody that's holier than think they're holier than thou. Someone that's conservative. Somebody that's vain. Um, Somebody that's trying to tell you what to think, how to feel. That's what I see when I see this one. And then again, that's probably why I do not like the Hierophant card. In this one, the Hierophant is a woman. Get your Mother Teresa figures, you know what I'm saying? She represents wisdom and life and age. You have the one dead tree or the one tree that's no longer growing, and then you have one that's full blossom, and she has a tree of life in her crown. So it shows that she is the Mother Earth. Um, a lot of people debate on whether they believe God is a man or a woman. And in this case, it's showcasing that the body of Christ is a woman, the head of Christ, because sometimes the Hierophant could also be translated to Jesus Christ. And they've shown that it is a woman, an older woman who holds lots of wisdom. We still have the youth here. Um, And this one here is it looks like they're both young girls. This one here is asking questions. This is just based off of the way they're dressed. This one is raising their hand, asking a question of this person. They're very inquisitive and want to know. They're yearning for answers, yearning for the truth. While this one here seems to not be as fully invested in what's going on. Only because we can't see her actual face there. And then she has one of the little, I forgot what they call, when you have the little cup games and you try to get the ball in the cup. I used to love playing that. I used to play that and playing a bowler bat. Those were the two games those remind me of. But this person is not as invested as this one is, who is seeking that wisdom. And this person even has on a pair of glasses. And usually they say that people that wear glasses are really smart, you know, geeky. That's what they say. That's what they say, y'all. So also there's keys hanging in the backgrounds of these trees, and at least on the tree that's full of life. So the key to understanding, um, or the key to life, you'll learn as you continue to grow, as you continue to blossom. That's what I see when I see this particular Hierophant card too. So, like I say, unlike most of the cards that when I look at and I just don't see anything because they're facing the camera, I see things when I look at the Hierophant cards. It's just that it's not one of my favorite ones because of what I associate it with. This next one, though, this Hierophant card again is another woman, but I love the fact that they've taken religion out of it, so to speak. And it's more about meditation, finding peace and finding understanding from within yourself. And this person is teaching these two here how to tap into their own wisdom, their internal wisdom, how to become one with self. I realize I do this a lot, which is here too. A lot of people associate that with the Illuminati. I'm not sure even how that started, because you'll see some singers do this. They'll be like, oh, no, the Illuminati. No, no. Well, anyway, but yeah, I don't do the curl fingers. I do the straight fingers. I don't know why. Maybe because my fingers feel weird doing like that. I don't know. And then, I don't know, child. I don't know. But anywho, yeah, I see this one here. If I had to do a representation of who I am as a person, it's a lot of this here mixed with some of this here, because I am still trying to learn, trying to understand, trying to grow as a person, whether it guides me back to church itself. Even if it doesn't, it makes me become more intuitive within myself and learning more about myself, becoming at peace, being still, sitting still and waiting for the answers to come to you is another thing that I see with this one here. Being flexible in the moment. Because usually the Hierophant tells you what you want to know. This one, I believe it's about finding your own truth. Okay. So then here we have the Wizard's Tarot. This one here just reminds me of being in a state of confusion. Look at the calculus board on the back. Remember, that meme? I can't remember what show it's from. And it's a lady sitting there confused as hell, and you see all the math equations float around her head and face. That's what this card reminds me of. Just being totally fucking confused. Okay, I see the magician is here. The magician is portraying himself as the Hierophant. The magician is portraying himself as one that is holier than thou, the one who can lead people to believe what he wants to believe. I see him as a possible cult leader, and he's trying to conform these children. Okay, they are followers of a traditional path. Okay. The one thing with mathematics, even though they may come up with new equations to come to the answer, I don't think they have a lot. Usually the math doesn't change. How you apply the math may change, but the math itself doesn't change. Um, yeah, what else I see here? But yeah, and I told you before when I did the magician that I thought the magician could be very manipulated at times. They're easy to sway others into thinking what they want them to believe. And in this particular case, he wants you to have faith, not necessarily in a system, but in him, is what I'm showing here, or what I see that I believe here. It's almost if he doesn't want you to believe what your own eyes see. A lot of magicians do that. That was the whole purpose of the magic, the trick, the illusion. You seeing something actually happens, and that's not really what's going on. So yeah, it's having faith. That's another good way to say too. Believing in something that you don't see is having faith. Lean not into your own understanding. This is what the word is saying. This is what the knowledge I'm giving you, and that's it. It's final. It's finite. So yeah. So that's what I got for you guys. This is the Hierophant. This is card number 5 within the Rider-Waite tarot decks. And those are just some of the things that I see when I look into these cards. You may see something different. If you do, go ahead, feel free to put it down in the comment section. I'm interested in what your take is. Like I said, there's so many other symbols that I am not addressing on the card, like the holding of the hands back here. But you can see how this is the same card, but from different decks, and how I get different perspectives when I look at these cards. I want to thank you again for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Peace.